Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Altcoin Daily with Bitcoin Gorilla. Today I'm back to give you an update on Siacoin. But today's analysis, there will not be any fundamentals, so it's going to be a deep one as we're going to be looking at multiple time frame and breaking them down using simple price action. You know me, I don't like indicators and I don't use them on my analysis. So I'll be drawing the chart from scratch using a strategy that I developed myself called the Bitcoin Gorilla box strategy. Now, if it's strange to you, don't worry, as I'll explain the box strategy as I draw them so you have a better understanding of why I am making claims of the possible movement of price. Now, this is going to be a multi-time frame. So this analysis, we're going to be looking at the monthly chart, of which monthly chart takes a year minimum to play out. We're going to be looking at the weekly chart, which takes minimum of 6 months to play out. We're going to look at daily chart, which takes minimum of 1 month to play out. And then we're going to look at 4 hour side chart for the sake of the daily traders, right? So I remember Bitcoin Gorilla. Please do like and subscribe if you like the strategy. So I'm going to first start by understanding where the support and resistance on the charts are. So I'm going to use this line to actually find the obvious in my eyes, in my face, that kind of in your face resistance and support. And I'm going to use the lines to actually note them, take note of them. So these are the most obvious in your face on the weekly chart. I think I can still keep one here. I think it will still make some sense. Yeah, right there. So this is the most obvious in your face support and resistance line that I can see. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this chart back to the weekly chart. So this is the weekly chart, and the next thing, like I said, I'm going to do is let's zoom in a little to have a closer view of the let's view in a little and have a closer view of the chart. So let me bring in my box strategy. So this is the box strategy, and I'm going to try to get my support and resistance, the most important area. Now, support and resistance are demand and supply zones. So my resistance is my supply zone. The most important supply zone based on the history that I'm seeing here is this area on yellow, and the most demand area is this area two below that I just take note of. So this is the most important demand area that price has ever gotten to, right? So, and this is the most important supply based on the box strategy that I'm talking about. So, but apart from that, I see a very important area again where price gets to, price is kind of stuck. You can see that from here, price return, but price struggling, right? It's like something is preventing it from move above here and below here, and we are still at the bottom of that point. So I take note of that by using my box strategy to highlight it. So, and the next thing I'm going to do is find the support and resistance of that highlighted inside box, right? So I see that this is the most supply area, right? And because what this highlighted area is showing is the sideways market, right? So we have two boxes now. We have the big box, the first one that I drew. This is this one, of which this is the demand area, and this is the supply area. And then I also have yet another one, which is this one, this last box that I draw, of which this is the demand area and this is the supply area. Very interesting, take note of that. So now we're going to go further into try to see if there are patterns, price action patterns that we can discover inside the box. Now this is where it gets fun, right? So I'm going to use the trend line. Now when drawing a trend line, I need a minimum of two touches. Right. I need a minimum of two touches, and I can zoom in for you to see and have a closer view for the sake of those who are watching on the mobile. So let's zoom in close so that you can see what's happening here. So I need a minimum of two touches. And right now, there is no coincidence that we are actually just sitting on it, right? So we have one, they made it up, they returned. So this is two, and third, They are currently sitting on it. Now, do you know the most beautiful thing about all of this? Is this the most beautiful thing about all of this is the fact, sorry about the noise in the background. One is my dog playing with her bone. Two is the church behind my house. I think they are having a night vigil or something, so the noise, I do really apologize for the noise. But let's continue. I think we can still make it through this together. So the next thing that I'm saying is, one is they are within my demand area. Very important. It means that as long as price is within this range, chances of a bounce is high, right? Chances of it bouncing is high. So, and again, they have touched this line. Now I am going to take note of that. So that's the first thing we notice. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go back, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can get other lines like seller's line or other buyer's line possible in the chart. So I think another very obvious in my face is the seller's line, right? And like also like the buyer's line, I need a minimum of two touches and a beautiful seller line. Now we're beginning to have a pattern. There's this price action pattern that they call a triangle. Now this is two touches, right? So we're having something that looks like a triangle. Obviously you can see it like this looks like a clear triangle. And I see something also quite very interesting about this pattern inside this box is the fact that it's at the apex. It's very close to breakout. So two things are possible. It's either it breaks to the upside or it breaks to the downside. One thing is going to happen. That is one thing about the triangle. It can break on any side. And the thing about the triangle, it takes a minimum of 3 months. So there is a pattern that looks like the triangle. That one is actually called a pennant, right? But a pennant has a flag, right? Now a pennant take a period of less than 3 months. So for a pennant to complete, a pennant has to be within less than 3 months. Anything above 3 months makes it a triangle. So let's see if this particular pattern has been going on for less than 3 months. How do we find out? We have to start finding out from where they started dropping when they got to the top of the triangle, which is right here. So when this date, this was April, May, June, July. In fact, it is beyond 3 months. Let's say even going to how many months? More than 6 months now. Which is, if we go to the monthly chart now, let's turn off the whole candles. Yes. So you can see it's more than 6 months. It's more than 6 months, which completely makes it what? A triangle. So we are dealing with a triangle right here. So that's the first pattern that we find out. Now let's see. Good. A triangle. What about what was happening before they started returning? What was the pattern they formed with this all-time high? So I'm going to try to connect two touches. That's what I need. I need two touches. So this is two touches, right? So if I zoom in, I see an expanding triangle. Now it's funny that I see this particular pattern in a lot of altcoin that I've done analysis on. This expanding triangle, it really tells me a lot. It tells me that we're in a bull market in a long run. We're in a bull market in a long run. But this current push down, or this current dump we're experiencing in the entire crypto community, is coming as a result of a retest from the monthly chart. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So we're going to go, and remember I said this is going to be a deep analysis. We're going to be finding ourselves jumping from one time frame to another, trying to make sense of what they are saying. But we want the news to be the same story in all time frame. We want the bullish on monthly, bullish on weekly, bullish on daily, and the rest. Or if they are bearish, let them all be bearish. That is what I want to see. So on this chart, let's look at the monthly chart based simply on candles. No drawings, just candles. We see that if we look closely, we see this particular range was a sideways market that occurred for what? For 6 months before a breakout that started the move to the upside. Now, in every price action, as a price action trader, we always believe that when there's a breakout, there's always a retest of the breakout. It doesn't matter the time frame the breakout is occurring, whether 1 minute chart, whether one daily chart, whether weekly chart or monthly chart. There is always a comeback to retest the broken resistance. So in the situation whereby we talk about resistance and support always breaking, but the special thing about this resistance and support when price breaks them is a resistance that is broken becomes a support, and a support that is broken becomes a resistance. So when they break a resistance, you find price returning to the resistance to try to test it if it's strong enough for them to sit above it and continue the journey. So a lot of people who miss the entry in the very beginning take the opportunity to buy in on those support. So now on a retest in the monthly chart, we see this 6 months breakout that happened, that 6 months of sideways market and 4 months of strong bullish push up to the upside. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is monthly candle. So each candle represents a month, right? So what is happening is they are coming, they just came back to retest the breakout. And you can see from this point, they have been finding it or struggling hard to go further down. So that is the first note on the monthly chart. Now let's go back to the daily chart and let's analyze this chart further down. Remember, we drew this chart on the weekly chart, but this is what it looks like on daily. This is why I love the Bitcoin Gorilla box. You just need to draw it once and it just gives you information ahead of time, right? So here is the thing. So before we go further, for the sake of intraday, for the sake of intraday traders, I think that I can still get a line right here, a very important line, because we're going to get a reaction from that line, and also here. Good. So I will tell you why I needed that line by the time we start talking about the by the time we start talking about the what's it called? By the time we start talking about 4 hours, you're going to understand why I needed that line, these two lines that I just placed now. So let's interpret this chart starting with the day. Let's interpret it starting with 4 hours. Then we go all the way up, right? Okay, good. Beautiful. So now, are we going up or are we going down? That is the question me and you are going to answer in these time frames we're going to be analyzing. So based on 4 hours, we are on a very important area, which means chances of a high bounce is high. Chances of a bounce is high. Why? Because one is we are on the trend line that price respected from here, which is a bullish buying trend line. That is the first thing. Number two is we are also in my demand area. And again, I am seeing a very important pattern in the price action community called the what? The double bottom, which this is playing out on 4 hours, right? One and two. Very bullish sign, right? So how does the what target, or how do you trade the double bottom? The double bottom works like a W, right? It moves like this and like this, right? So the neckline is right here. And is there a coincidence of the fact that the neckline happened to be my supply range, right? Remember, I said this is my supply for that box, and that is the neckline. That is the neckline. I drew these boys before we even saw this pattern, but this pattern is likely going to play out soon, but it's not going to be a run to the upside. A lot of things are going to be challenging. Remember what happened when they were going up the first time. They faced a lot of challenges and a lot of fight to the upside. The same thing is going to they are going to face. You can see what happened. They faced it, in fact, for close to how many months they are stuck in one range before they finally broke below. So by the time they return into the same area, the same drum is going to play the same music and they have to dance to it. Exactly. History repeats itself. So they are going to get in. So here's what I see playing out on this 4 hours based on what I'm saying. I'm going to zoom in so that we're going to have a closer look at the candles, right? We are very zoomed out. We need to come in. If we're going to trade it, we need to come back in, closer in, closer in. So now we're in, right? So you can see what we are seeing here. So here's what we are saying, and I will interpret for you. there is a resistance hovering around. We are moving up, yeah, we're moving up, and there is a resistance hovering around 1.3 to 1.45, at most 1.5. The reason I say at most 1.5 is this point, right? 1.5. So let's say this, we're going to have this reaction, and they could bring them down. Now they are going to get to this 1.3. They will definitely get to it. So they are currently at did I say 1.3? Oh my god, please pardon me. I mean 0.01. So 0.011 is where they are currently at. So they will get to 0.013. Please, it's 0.013. Pardon me. So the next thing, they can now move back up. Now, why did I say they will return? Because chances are high they will come and retest this breakout. Anytime you see a sideways, there's always a chance for it to come back and retest it. And this is where the sideways has been occurring on the 4 hours. So they will go up and return back. They will get to zero. So their reaction could either be at this point or this point. The reason is also the reaction they had in the previous past here. So if you are trading 4 hours, the goal now is, once you are in this trade, you put your stop loss at around 0.008. Your stop loss is there. You are likely going to get a run, but it's not going to be an easy one. Like I said, you are going to move like it's going to move like this. After it gets here and then like this, then we're going to likely get to 0.018. At 0.018, there could be a push down again. Remember, why is that going to be a push down? Now let's zoom out and look at our sellers line. Remember, we have a sellers line. Let's adjust that line. Good. So we're going to zoom out now. So you're going to see what I'm talking about. So remember this sellers line right here. So we're going to have this sellers line push down around this 0.018. So the push down will happen. Now, depending on the strength of the push down, they are likely now going to want to sit above my, not above it, at the tip of it, at the top of the demand area. Now, this is 4 hours, but the story doesn't stop there. I'm just giving you, this is going to take a while for the move. It's not going to be an easy ride because of the previous past. So patience will be required. If we go to daily chart, we're going to now extend the target, right? The target will be extending and go beyond this, because even if they get to this 0.18, they are going to return back down, and they will try now to attack back this what 0.02 all the way to 0.024. Now, depending on their strength, they are likely going to either push them down at this 0.02, or they could get here. So either they stop them around this range or they stop them here. The reason is the previous past reactions. You understand? But you can see that they also have this. You can see I said there is a lot of reaction. So depending on the past, this area is going to give tough time to get through. But do what I see, if we look at the weekly chart, we see that these bulls could get crazy. No matter how much fight, they could find themselves actually getting to the top of 0.03 all the way to 0.4. 0.03 all the way to 0.04. Now, if we see they will react down, now this down they will react could either even extend back to 0.01 or 0.2 before they will now make another attempt. This time around, they will try to hit 0.45 and if not 0.6. So, because why? Their goal is to continue the bullish journey. This is what I see for the bulls. Now, in the multiple time frame. But what about worst case scenario? What about if this BS keeps selling up? Because one thing I know is if Bitcoin keeps going down, altcoin could keep going down. Now here's why. If this altcoin sell-off continues like it is on Bitcoin, they will get to this 0.08 and reverse down. They could now drop, and this time around they could break our buyer zone and they will get to 0.005. But that is worst case scenario, and I don't see that playing out soon. I see that instead, from where we are is a big buy support area that could take price rather all the way up instead of down. I remember Bitcoin Gorilla. If you like